Here's what you can expect on today's Families Matter Most podcast.
It's argumentative, harsh words that set us up as enemies. And we're not. We're not enemies. You are not an enemy with your partner. That is your teammate. So if we can find better words to talk to each other as a team, we're going to solve the problems as opposed to just arguing about them forevermore.
Every time Jen Dean speaks, I can see hope, knowledge, expertise, wisdom, and love.
When Jen Dean speaks about parenting, we make sure that we are there to listen because we know we will get valuable advice.
Families Matter Most with Jen Dean.
She doesn't just give skills for us to be better parents, but she teaches us how to reach our children's hearts. And at the end of the day, that's what truly matters.
Welcome to the Families Matter Most podcast. I'm Jen Dean, and today, oh boy, I'm going to talk to you about marriage killers. It's the marriage killer number one. Extreme words. I come across this all the time when I'm working with couples who want to have a healthy, strong marriage, who want to reach the hearts of each other and reach the hearts of their kids. They want health and success. They want joy and peace and vibrance. But it's just a challenge. So we're going to talk about argumentative words, extreme words. And I have 5 different sentences that these variations of words come up all the time. So we're going to go through each of them. They're so common. You're going to hear probably things that you have said about your partner or about your kids. And I'm going to help you break that down and come up with something better. Stay with me till the end because you're going to have some tools to handle conflict, to handle some emotions better. And this is going to make a difference in every relationship in your life, especially your marriage. I have to say thank you to Connexus Credit Union. You know the 3 biggest things that couples fight about? Money, sex, and kids. It's true. It's true. Think about where most of your fighting comes from. It's probably kids or sex or money. That's what you're fighting about. I can help with 2 of those. I can help you guys as a couple sort yourselves out. I can help you as parents. I cannot help you with your money. Okay, I cannot. I cannot. I am not the expert there, but Connexus Credit Union is. I want you to go to them, having that third person, having that expert that knows the things, that has done the research, they've studied what to do. Having that third person is going to help you make better decisions with far less conflict. So reach out to them. Check out Connexus Credit Union. Tell them Families Matter Most sent you. And let's take away some of that stress in your marriage, hey? Marriage killer, extreme words. This is all semantics, guys. The good news is if you find yourself arguing with your partner a lot, it could be truly that you're just choosing really bad words. And if we can sort that out, if we can use better words, you might find that you're reducing conflict, arguing, fighting. It's going to automatically decrease in your life just by choosing different words. So I do want that to encourage you. I don't want you to hear these things and be like, oh yeah, it's another thing I'm doing wrong. I'm terrible at everything. I use all these words. No, I want you to hear this and be like, wow, Jen, so you're telling me that if I just swap out that word, if I just say something different, it's going to make a difference in my marriage? And I'm saying absolutely 100% yes. And it may not come easily. It's a habit. It's a pattern that we have to change. But it's not that difficult to decide I'm not going to say a certain word anymore and I'm going to swap it for something else. I'm going to say something else instead. It's not that hard. I have 5 different statements that come up in variations of all kinds of family settings. We're going to go through each of them. And my hope is that you're going to be encouraged that this is kind of an easy fix, guys. When you think about all the struggles, this is kind of easy. Number 1, my husband is always angry. And of course, we could swap any of these. It could be my wife is always angry. My husband is always angry. If I'm working with a family and somebody says, my spouse is always angry, you know what happens immediately after that? The spouse is like, I'm not always angry. What about last Tuesday when I came home and you were freaking out and you were so mad? I was in a good mood and you took everyone down with you because you were so miserable. What just happened there? It was the always angry? Was it the always? My husband is always angry. I'm not always angry, right? It was the words. Now, what is the spirit? What is the heart of what the wife was trying to say? The wife was trying to say, my husband is angry. He struggles with anger. And the words turned it into now it's an argument about all the times that somebody was angry and who is angrier, who is more angry than the other person, and is the other person not angry? Like, do you see how we just got stuck on a rabbit trail of semantics? The heart of it was what I think the wife was meaning to say is, my husband struggles with anger. He's an angry man. But it got lost in this competition of who's angrier. So that's statement number one. I hear that in all kinds of variations. Beware of the word always, because as soon as you use always, it becomes a point of contention where the partner is going to try and prove that it's not always that way, right? It takes away from the point you're trying to make. If you're trying to say, hey, honey, I feel like you're angry a lot of the time, then don't say always. Don't say that. Just say, honey, I feel like you struggle with anger. I feel like that's a problem. I feel like anger is an issue. It's much harder to argue about the semantics of it that way. It's much harder. And the heart of it is that you do think that your partner has an issue with anger. So say the whole truth. Say exactly what it is you mean to say, and don't try and make it into a more extreme thing to make your point across by using harsher words. Number one, avoid the word always. Number two, my wife never spends time with me. So always was one, never is another one. What happens? So I'm working with a family and the husband says, my wife never spends time with me. What is the wife going to say? She has two options. She's either going to start arguing against the word never. She's going to say, yes, I do. What about yesterday? What about last week? What about this? She's going to look for evidence to prove him wrong, that it's not true, that it's not that she never spends time with him. Now, in fact, what is the heart that he was trying to say? The heart that I would hear is that he feels lonely. He feels abandoned by his wife. He feels rejected. Now, could he say that instead? If he were to say, I feel rejected, or I feel like my wife doesn't want to spend time with me, avoiding the word never is going to take that competition out. The wife has the choice to make. She could argue the semantics of the word never, or she could choose to hear the heart of it, which is that he feels rejected. But I promise you though, as soon as somebody says never or always, then what happens? Immediately our defenses, they're raised. We're trying to prove that, no, that's not true. That's not fair. It's not just. So let's not use always. Let's not use never. Statement number 3, literally. He literally ignores me every day. You see a pattern here, right? The word literally. He ignores me every day is also argumentative. What is the heart? He literally ignores me. Immediately, defensiveness. Immediately, we want to prove that that's not true. Well, what about this time? We'll look for evidence. Well, what about this day when I went out of my way to do something nice for you? Or in our defensiveness, we have to take the other person down too to say, yeah, well, you do this too. You do it. You're not 100% in the clear. You ignore me. It's argumentative, harsh words that set us up as enemies. And we're not. We're not enemies. You are not an enemy with your partner. That is your teammate. So if we can find better words to talk to each other as a team, we're going to solve the problems as opposed to just arguing about them forevermore. Number 4, she hates me. She hates me. So then immediately, no, I don't. No, I don't. You hate me. You do this to me. You do everything to me. It's argumentative. What is the heart? Instead of saying she hates me, could you use an I statement? I feel hurt, right? I feel abandoned. I feel ignored. Could you say stuff like that? I statements. Do you see, as soon as we're saying he or she, it's setting us up, right? It's one versus the other. But I feel this way sometimes. Don't say I always feel this way. Don't say, I never feel good. Use an I statement. So now we're avoiding always, never, literally, hate. And then the last one, I've just given up. I give up. I don't care anymore. I quit. I'm out. Maybe we should just get a divorce. I should just leave. You should just leave. All of those. I've just given up. I give up. I quit. Where do we go from there? You're telling that other person that you're not interested in working it out. You're not interested in trying anymore. How do we fix that? If you say that, your partner, what are they going to do? They're either going to say, fine, I do too. Well, I quit. I quit first. I quit more. I quit harder than you. Are we going to do that? Are we going to say, okay, I guess they don't care. They don't care to fight for this relationship. It's all the words. Instead of saying, I've just given up, I give up, I quit, could you say, I'm scared to try. I'm afraid to get hurt. Go back to those I statements. I'm afraid it will never get better. I really want a healthy, wonderful, strong, happy marriage. And I'm afraid I won't see it. I'm afraid the other person won't try. It's the semantics. It's the words we use. So I want you to listen to yourself as you're talking about your partner, as you're talking to your partner, as you're talking about your kids, as you're talking to your kids. I want you to hear the words that are coming out of your mouth and ask yourself, are they argumentative? Are they extreme? Are they harsh? Am I setting up a conflict? Am I pushing someone into defensiveness? Can I see that happening? If somebody does get defensive, now their reaction is on them, 100%. They are in charge and responsible for their own selves. But can you see how your words are contributing to a feeling of, I need to fight? And can you reduce that? So these are the statements I want you to avoid saying. Things like, they're always angry. They never do this thing. They literally do this all the time. They hate something, or I give up, I quit. I want you to avoid using those words. I want you to find other words. Use I statements. Say what it is you're truly feeling. Say what it is. And if you want to say something like, I give up, ask yourself, why? Because I'm afraid. Because I'm afraid. And what are you afraid of? I'm afraid that they won't love me. I'm afraid that it won't work. I'm afraid that I'll keep trying and it's never going to get better. There's tons of fear. Say those things. Say, I really want to fight for this, but I'm scared. Say, I really love you, but I'm hurting, right? You can say those kinds of statements and we can build on those and you can solve those problems as a team. As a team. I want you to think of it this way. When you're having a conversation with your partner, do you feel like you're on one side of the table and they're on the other side of the table and it's you versus them? Is that how it feels? Because that's not what I want for you. What I want for you to think about is, what do we have to do to make the problem the other side of the table? So I want you to think about, what would it take for you to, figuratively, to get up, to walk around to their side of the table, to sit down beside them and look at the problem together. Now, instead of it being you versus them, it's the two of you as a team tackling the problem together. It is possible. I know that it's hard. I have had really hard years in my marriage. I have. We had years, Sean and I had years where we didn't know. We didn't even know if we were going to make it through. But we did. We didn't quit. We worked on all of these things. We figured it out. We got the help when we needed it. And we saw it through. And we're in such a good place today. It is so much better. So I have hope for you. I'm encouraging you. I'm cheering for you. Maybe you need that third party. Maybe you need someone to sit down with to help you sort through these things, to call you on that stuff, to be like, oh, wait, that was defensive. That was argumentative. Remember, we're working on this. I recently was working with a family, and it's so funny because often what happens is the wife will want to meet with me, and not always, but often the husband is like, what? I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to do that. The husband and wife will show up for the session and we meet virtually. And I can always tell when this happens because the husband will be kind of, looking standoffish, very obvious with his body language that he's really not thrilled to be there. He's not excited to do this. And I get it. I totally get it. And I'm fine with that. And it's fascinating to me because by the end of the session, they're always, 100% of the time, they're always like, this was really good. This was a good thing. This was helpful. This was worth it. So consider, it might really be great for you. Recently, I had a couple where the dad was just like that. The husband, he was very standoffish. He was not thrilled. And by the end, we've had some sessions in. And he said, you know what? I don't care. This is a priority now. He's like, I don't care if we meet every week or two for 5 years. Like, this has been so beneficial. This has been the best thing for our marriage that we could have done. And they're all in now. It's great. It is. They're doing amazing. So I want to encourage you, no matter what, no matter how hard you think it is, no matter how bad you think it is. I've seen it. I've helped people through it. Reach out, get that third party. If you haven't already booked a free strategy call, then do it. Book a free check-in and let's hear what's going on. Let's hear what some of your struggles are. And you're going to find out that, you know what? You're not alone. You're not alone and nothing is impossible. We can work on all this stuff. So I can't wait to see you in a strategy call if we haven't already met. Feel free to reply and reach out. Feel free to DM me or send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. I'm cheering for you. You can work on these things. You got this, guys.
Thanks for listening to the Families Matter Most podcast with Jen Dean, part of the Saskatchewan Podcast Network. If you are interested in contacting Jen for one-on-one parent coaching, for speaking engagements, or just to get a little more information, please visit our website, familiesmattermost.com.